Good evening. Today, my team's gonna present a really interesting topic that is the application of AI in game development. But before coming to the main part, let me introduce our team. Our team contains four members: Hoàng Vũ, Đăng Định, Tân Thông, and me, Đức An. And now, let's jump into the main part. You know, the majority of video game parts, whether they include racing games, shooters, or strategy games, all include unique components that are powered by AI or related software. For instance, those neutral characters or enemy boss. Artificial intelligence is mostly used in video games to provide players a realistic gaming experience so they may compete against one another online. Additionally, over time, AI in gaming contributes to greater player interest and satisfaction. AI and game development are growing in many ways thanks to another. Computer games are now being developed with the goal of studying their old patterns to improve their algorithms, which in many ways AI is finding is one further developed, despite the fact that AI is accustomed to adding life to video games. The gaming industry future seems to lie in creating artificial environments that incorporate virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. A step equally important in creating games are smarter, more interactive, and as close to reality as possible is the rise of artificial intelligence. AI maintains a database of information that is available to it and uses this information to create a world in which characters may function normally and survive. The situations, objectives, and actions of the game characters, which become more realistic and natural, all are collected through AI and designed to create a play environment. The AI algorithm must be rewarded with data to provide the best possible responses to certain stimuli in order to demonstrate this. Even though AI has several advantages, it hasn't yet been used in every industry, since the vast amount of information required to train AI algorithms is difficult to access. Games are an ideal game environment to practice and implement AI techniques because of their unique qualities. The majority of games are actively played. Little information is generated or used, and states, activities, and rewards are generally understandable. In the following parts of the presentation, we will introduce you certain examples of the application of AI in game development. For the first one, please welcome to the screen my friend Hoàng Vũ.
Hi guys, today I'm gonna talk about AI in level and map design. So map and level design in game development is usually not a trivial task, but rather it is a tedious and time-consuming one. So for that reason, people in game development industry have come up with many techniques and methods to help make these tasks less of a burden. And the technique that we are diving into today is called procedural generation. So what exactly is procedural generation? In computer science, procedural generation refers to methods that generate data by a mix of logic and algorithms, rather than having a human doing all the work manually. So procedural generation has many uses in different areas, and in game development it can be applied to help with creating landscapes, 3D objects, character designs, animations, or maybe even NPC dialogue. So what we are gonna focus on today is its most predominant field, that is generating map and levels. So in recent years, there have been numerous new games that use procedural generation to assist with producing maps or levels. One of the most notable examples today is No Man's Sky. So the game allows players to explore 18 quintillion unique planets and moons, and all of them are 100% procedural generated. So the map generated this way offer more replayability to the game, as each planet generated is different, so players could always have a chance to explore something new and experience something unique. So aside from completely creating a new map and levels, some game companies also employ procedural generation to quickly produce a rough map. Then they will fill in the details afterward. This makes game productions considerably faster and more efficient. One notable example right now is the upcoming game Starfield by Bethesda. So what they plan is to create over 1000 planets, and a large portion of those are procedural generated beforehand. And then Bethesda will pick out some of the planets that they want to focus on. Then they will manually add in more details to those planets.
Hello, I will continue our presentation. AI is a revolution in itself with the numerous feats of accomplishment that it has been able to achieve. The use of AI in the real world and real-life scenario is ample. There are a wide array of use cases to improve the quality of life in general. Another wonderful use of AI is the sport of chess. Nowadays, modern chess engines are so well developed that we do not drop a single game to human player. Even the current reigning defending world champion failed to beat the modern best chess engine even once in the span of 100 games. The world champion has a file rating over 2,800 across all formats. The contest usually takes place in a last call time format, and the match was against the top fifth nine. This engine used the alpha-beta pruning and optimization method to the minimax algorithms that allow us to discard some branches in the search tree. This helps us evaluate the minimax search tree much deeper while using the same resources. The alpha-beta pruning is based on the situation where we can stop evaluating a part of the search tree if we move that leads to a worse situation than the rapidly discovered move. But only this algorithm is not enough. There was some improvement in the evaluation function which evaluated at the leaf of the search tree to come up with an estimate of which side is better at the resulting position. One of these is a lightly adjusted version of speed-square table, which helps XG speed move to a more advantageous position, like the Autobus 9 with boost rest on every single opponent's speed. And actually this beautiful place have brought about win in some role-player games. In recent years, with the help of AI, neural net-based digital automation in AlphaZero or PUCT predictor plus upper confidence bound research in Lila Just Yet Zero. AI in chess is expected to be a huge side of potential of greater and enormous possibilities to take over the chess world by storm. And the next part is the AI personal game which will represent Biden.
First, I will introduce about this topic. Except for pure multiplayer games where human opponents largely determine the gaming experience, AI is a fundamental cornerstone of game design. While notable breakthroughs have been made in games such as chess, AlphaGo, and StarCraft, where AI flawlessly beats the best human players, this is not the intention with commercial games. On the contrary, a game AI that is unbeatable can quickly frustrate players and lead to poor sales. And the same applies to an AI that is too weak to be competitive. This is some example of game using AI. And therefore, the current focus is on adaptive AI. That is, AI that adapts to the style of play and skill of individual players to offer as many players as possible a challenging yet rewarding experience. This is also known as hyper-personalization, a strategy designed to maximize potential audiences and commercial success. The current challenge is to design hyper-personalized games to players with different ability levels and different gaming styles at either end of the spectrum of gamer styles are, for example, wanderers, players who play mainly for relaxation and are content with conserving the game's storyline and aesthetics. On the other hand, conquerors are players who seek the greatest possible challenge as long as it seems achievable. And it also creates unique experience. Adaptive AI that learns from player behavior has also opened up another way to make games more interesting, mirroring player behavior. This all allows regular players to get as low as possible to a real racist hypothetical scenario with famous opponents. Another example is professional air athletes who create AI figurines of their individual premium size to make them commercially available. This enables several players to test their skills against notable athletes without actually participating in a multiplayer match against them. Releasing these new AI patients to add new challenges to an existing game is really another way to improve a game. It prevents players from losing interest once they have played through the game or investigate on the possible strategies. A novel player-centered framework is presented, which is complementary to the commonly used system-centered approaches to synthesize existing AI research on personalized games. Built on the cognitive science theory on the structure of actions, current game personalization research was mapped based on the cognitive process of player gurus. As a result, 8 open problems are identified that need further investigation. You can see that illustration of these 8 problems. I will demonstrate some major problems. To model an individual player, a considerable amount of data about that player would be needed. However, even if such data was available, labeling such data is a challenging problem. Even if the researchers could directly observe player behavior for an extended period of time, it is not always clear what the player's intention is at any given time. The problem is that, compared to other interactive systems, design player choices in games present additional difficulties because of their built-in reward structure. As most players are motivated to win, they may choose options that help them win instead of options that better represent them. It is found that most players choose to take action associated with one playstyle. After looking into it further, we realize players selected these actions because that is how to win a game and where most gameplay content exists. With that revelation, we have to expand the game design so that different groups of players can find meaningful ways to satisfy their needs while processing in the game. And
In conclusions, I want to say it's very true that the next generation of video games will use AI to personalize your experience.